So, Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, Lady MeeLing, America. I've been known by a few different names. Never denied being the exact same person nonetheless. Ever. And so, in that regard, a few different things, discussion. So actually, in reference to the fact that I have gone by so many names, there was this one time when I was volunteering, and one of the volunteer couples that were there, the husband of the couple had said, you know, you kind of remind me of Dori the fish. And I said, oh, actually, I've been known as Lady Dori Belle. And, you know, there's a bunch of stuff in that regard. However, yeah, I've gone by Lady Dori Belle for a long time. It's just some stuff that occurred and whatnot. And his wife and I spoke. And I had explained that one of the females that were in the vicinity, she actually got a little upset in regards to the forgetful aspect because she understood certain things. And it was one of those, well, you know, I mean, I haven't had an issue acknowledging that. That was either 2016 or 2017 when discussing that, or maybe, yeah, I don't think it was 2018. I think it was 2016 or 2017. Whenever they started volunteering there, probably a few months after they started volunteering there. And so, you know, discussed a few things and explained several aspects in that regard. So anybody from the lifestyle that I knew in the state of Texas that chose not to just ask me by my name that they knew me as, people who didn't know me in the state of Texas asked me and I answered honestly. Just gonna throw that out there. That being said, that was a how do I put it? Looking back, would be really annoying if there were people that I knew from the state of Texas that showed up and never once actually acknowledged knowing me as they knew me in the lifestyle. Or at minimum, having the human decency to ask me. That would really, really infuriate me. Really, truthfully infuriate me. And then if there were individuals who had seen me in Washington State and then went and told people in the state of Texas, but didn't tell them that they did not ask me about me by my name that they knew me as. It's not like I've never discussed having a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 and the after effects of. So anybody that would falsely claim that I never said anything like that, out of curiosity, how many YouTube videos have I completed on my official YouTube channel where I discuss my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. I would guesstimate there's at least, well, there's this one, possibly a couple more. Possibly. So in regards to a comment that came from a guy who kind of reminds me of Duct Tape Dave from Dallas. If that particular comment that was made by the bookshelf in regards to the drama, well, by technicalities, who was creating drama at that point in time? Because a person who would not be creating drama would just be honest instantaneously, right? would flat out just be upfront and to the point, correct? If I'm not mistaken, if I'm accurate, somebody who would not be causing drama would flat out just say so. If I'm accurate on that. If I'm not, then I apologize. However, if the regards in reference to the aspects of attempting to say one thing and then speaking out of the other side of your mouth, wouldn't that be hypocritical in that regard? If I understand that correctly. So, for example, in regards to 2018, when I thought I saw Philip Armstead from the Dallas-Fort Worth scene at Econo Lodge in Great Falls, Montana, on my way back from Iowa for my Medal of Honor art project trip. I mean, were there some people wrongfully making a game out of my life? And is that not considered tampering? I don't believe I consented to that at any point in time. The irony in that regard of, if I'm not mistaken, Duct Tape Dave throwing a temper tantrum on FetLife about a comment that was made about other aspects, and then not having the human decency to say things in person, and creating drama online as well as in person. Just not having the human decency to admit it, right? Or am I inaccurate on that, by that facade? I could be inaccurate. I don't deny that. However, I also didn't deny when I was asked the first time about my name. And I should say, the only time I was ever asked in that regard. So if anybody went back to the state of Texas and said, for example, Duct Tape Dave, if going back to the state of Texas and, well, we talked, but it was like she didn't remember me. Well, first, there is that head injury on Palm Sunday 2000 issue that I've never denied, not forgetting my issues with technology that I never denied. Ever. And since Philip Armstead did get into that claim of pretending to be a professional gamer, just saying, I am not a game. I am a human being. I do not appreciate that. And I loathe your existences for those who decide that they think or thought they had a right to play a game with my life, or my children's lives, or my Medal of Honor art project. I loathe your existence. And I am so saddened that you were able to be saved. In regards to a certain day. That's such a shame that you were allowed to continue to breathe, in my opinion. Though I would guesstimate you probably have had that opinion a few times, right? Of yourself. Maybe, just maybe, if you didn't pretend to be someone you're not, you wouldn't have Possibly. I could be wrong. Maybe there is something to be said about multiple personality disorder when it comes to people who pretend to be someone that they're not, whether online or in person, or both. Despite the fact that I've had to deal with certain things, I've always been who I am. I have a feeling I might be among a limited number of individuals who could say that. And not in a professional way in regards to certain ones. Like for guys who go undercover, I understand that because that's part of their job. However, they usually have an actual employer that informs them that that's what they're going to do, and they get paid for that because they have orders to do so. Just saying, if hypothetically that was Duct Tape Dave, were you employed by a government law enforcement agency to pretend to be someone you were not? If not, and you were just doing it because of whatever overdramatic, childish garbage. If that's the case, then I would guesstimate that is a problem you have to deal with, accepting the reality of who you lied to. Among others, correct? Because even on the card that I filled out to go there the first time, I put a name, Lady Dori, Belle. I didn't hide that. However, because of the difference between the BDSM community and the swinger community, I just kind of figured, you know, probably easier to just say Susan instead of Lady Dori Belle every time in that regard. On top of that, I did remember there was this guy that I knew in San Antonio, and his name, in the pagan community, I met him in San Antonio, saw him at one of Mike and Patty's events, and when I saw him, I had remembered, at least I saw him at Pagan Pride Day in San Antonio. I had remembered that he had told me that his parents had a house in a different part of the subdivision where I had my house in San Antonio. His name's Wesley. D and Joe Rose might remember who that guy is. And so went on one date with that guy way back when my hair was not this haircut or this hair color. Well before the waxing. Well before that. And it was one of those, No. He fell asleep in my apartment, and that's it. That's all. He just was too tired to drive. Ironically, Patricia, right? But he was actually too tired to drive. Not because of anything we actually did, just because we talked. And talked. And talked. A whole bunch. And then, one day, several days later, I was in the middle of a meditation. And similarly to the way Thomas Marsden, I had to contact him after a meditation I had, and I was infuriated as to his attempt to send Set, his patron, to do things. And my matron, Kali Ma, came out in the meditation and handled that business. Completely destroyed Set. Like, obliterated him. Because those who have heard of Kali Ma, I mean, she's a very caring, very, very caring, very extremely caring matron. However, if you cause harm to one of hers, she tends to just destroy everything in her path until she is satisfied. So, one day, meditating, and I had this, I think it was Karen Nunnos who showed up. I was like, may I help you? What do you think you're doing in my meditation? And he had explained that he was there because of Wesley. I said, oh, no. No. Not acceptable. At all. And so I didn't even have to call in Kali Ma. Like, at all. Did not have, like, I just handled it right then and there. And it was just one of those. And bye-bye. So then I called up Wesley. And I asked him what he thought he was doing. And he asked me what I meant. And, like, pretending to be innocent in that regard. It's like, yeah, but no. No. So then he tried to tell me he had never met anybody who was as strong. Probably fairly accurate. Doesn't mean you have my permission to send any energy my way. So, do not call upon your matron or your patron and think that my matrons and my patrons are not going to handle business. I mean, depending on what you believe spiritually, of course. I mean, you know, how many people are willing to piss off Chongo as one of my patrons? I don't really think that's a good idea to piss off Chongo. I mean, just saying, there are some individuals who know who Chongo is. Just saying. At least of the stories of. Just saying. And, you know, that's just one of the patrons. That's just one. I mean, of course, realistically, Kernanos is one of my patrons. However, when being sent to me by somebody else, I'll handle that if I have to. I prefer not to, though. Like, I really do. I prefer, like, not having that issue. I mean, come on now. So a few days after that, I go outside onto my back patio. It was on the USAA Boulevard apartment complex. And there was Wesley leaning on his car, looking upward and smiling. What do you want? And he was just, oh, well, I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to talk. So I left my apartment, went down the stairs, met him at the gate, wouldn't let him in. What do you want? Oh, well, you know, just wanted to hang out. But I don't want to hang out with you. So, why did you show up to my apartment without my permission? And he kind of got a little freaked out. And he was like, but I thought it would be like really cool. And I was like, yeah. I already told you it was over. I didn't want to like get to know you any further. Like, I'm not trying to be rude. Just on a friend basis, yeah, can do that. Beyond that, no. No, not at all. I'm not interested in that. Not with you. And so then seeing him at Mike and Patty's one night, he did like try to speak with me, and it was the same night, ironically, that Steve from Jamie, like Jade Wolf Coven, had been there with a few different females, and it was just one of those, and this is awkward, but hello, what's going on? And it was one of those, I thought that you would be more mad at me as to why. Did you do something that you need to confess to me about? I don't want to confess anything, was what Steve said. It's like, oh, well then, I guess it's not so awkward for me as it is for you. So, you know, that's a you problem, not a me problem. I'll survive. You, on the other hand, just so, and I'm not, and I hope I don't come across as arrogant when I'm speaking about this stuff. It's just one of those, realistically, and so, you know, in those different instances where I've dealt with a few individuals who thought it would be a good idea to attempt to do that, and then realize that energetically, no. Not at all. I mean, here's another example of a patron. Has anybody ever heard of Amun? Or Amun Ra? Has anybody heard as a matron of Tiamat? I mean, you know, those are what I consider to be my saints when it comes to certain meditation aspects. I'm just saying. Just meditation aspects. I know I'm not the only one. Maybe in regards to Amun Ra, possibly one of the few in that regard, as well as Tiamat. Because, I mean, I went and researched what people actually knew about her. Apparently not very much. Apparently there's not that much information on her, which is a surprise. Because she was, well, I guess maybe not a surprise, because she was before Amun Ra, as far as time is concerned. So there is that. There might be some historical issues in that regard. Possibly. So, you know, just saying. Anyway, I don't appreciate being lied to, is what that boils down And I do not appreciate individuals getting involved in my life in a negative way. I do not cause people problems. I don't go out of my way to do that unless you come at me. If you come at me, then I'm just defending myself. Realistically. And then there's like this. As far as energetically. And then, so I also wound up remembering, there was a point in time my now dead ex-husband had, when he was alive, he was like, oh, you know, do this eBay thing because, you know, you buy so much, maybe you could actually sell on there. It's like, I forget when I order stuff. So, like, I mean, I still am able to pay. That's not the issue. It's just, I don't buy stuff that I can't afford. And that's that. And I haven't been on eBay since like 2009, but that was only buying. Like, I tried doing the selling thing a little bit, and trying to remember to keep up with stuff just was too difficult, too much to handle for me. And so one day, with, like, I think there were a total of there were 2 auctions that had been done. And one of them was because of, like, all of these samples that I had received of Enfamil. And so the person contacted me from Alaska. And which is ironic when you think of, like, my now ex-boyfriend who wanted me and my son to go to Alaska. And I had explained to her that, you know, I didn't realize certain things. And I apologized for not knowing in certain regards, because my now dead ex-husband, then husband, had put, like, the number aspect up, because, again, I have issues with numbers. There's no denying that. And so I contacted her, refunded her her money, and was just like, hey, I apologize for messing up. That is my mistake. Absolutely my mistake for messing up. I didn't know this, that, and the other. My now dead ex-husband had done all this sort of stuff. And I explained that. And, well, at that time then, nonetheless. And I'll explain that. And she said that she was understanding of that. However, in regards to the aspects of my now ex-boyfriend, who had said he wanted to get me to Elmendorf Air Force Base, if there are records on that, then I would guesstimate whoever does that aspect of eBay would be able to understand that, because after that, like, little, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't remember. And then, like, it was I couldn't do it. I just could not do it, like, because of being able to remember stuff. And then as far as, like, numbers, I couldn't figure that out, so that had to do with my husband, now dead ex-husband. And so don't know if that's important or not, but you really shouldn't lie, whether in person or online. It gives people the wrong impression. Just saying. And with so many people being accustomed to technology, and in this era, with children nowadays having cell phones as young as what? Younger and younger. I don't know what age they have them. I mean, probably should not be lying. I mean, I've had this issue where I just can't tell a lie, pre and post head injury. However, apparently I might be one of the few in that regard. And so maybe it's time to revamp that, because if children cannot tell the difference, that could lead to some dangers, right? Answer yes. It's a rhetorical question. So, I've never denied who I am. But then again, that would require me to remember who I told a lie to. All that sort of stuff surrounding that. And as many times as I've been accused of lying and just trying to focus on the truth aspects and no, go ask this person. After a certain point before my head injury, I was just go ask this person. Just go that, so on and so forth. And so, after my head injury, I had to remember that. Because I was accused of lying so much more. So much more than pre-head injury. Which is really weird. Which is also ironic when I think about it, because of all the people who had accused me of lying. I mean, I'm just saying, Anna, my biological mother, accusing me of lying. Patricia, my biological sister, accusing me of lying. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. That's please. And then, my now dead ex-husband, when he was alive, accusing me of lying and cheating and all sorts of other things. No. Again, the irony of that. My ex-sisters-in-law, such as Susie Marie Nichols Lopez and Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen, accusing me of lying? Really? Better check yourself. Just saying. Kinda one of those, really? You want to accuse me? Are you sure you don't think you're speaking to yourself in a mirror? I mean, seriously. Who do you think you're... I mean, seriously. Seriously. Just saying. Again, I understand in regards to the compassionate, honorable, and righteous ones when they have, law enforcement, military jobs. They're going undercover for intel stuff, which I'm sure in its own right has certain issues for them. Trying to remember that sort of stuff. However, that's their job via law enforcement and in order to keep certain aspects safe, obviously. Civilians who are not in that category, I do not understand that at all. Then again, I also can't tell a lie. And while I have not lied to law enforcement or military guys, I understand that's part of their job. I can't do it. I can do certain aspects of their job, but not that pretending to be someone I'm not. I cannot do that. It's just that would mean I'd have to remember and not ever, at any point in time, ever talk about my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. That's my math. If I were to attempt to do that, that would mean I could never bring that up. And if I understand certain things correctly when it comes to going undercover, you have to, and not under the covers, But in regards to going undercover, you have to, like, remember stuff. I can't do that. I have a hard time remembering my own stuff. Just say. So, and then, you know, in like that undercover way stuff, what if you're out with someone and then you're supposed to like be undercover stuff and then you have to like remember? I have a hard enough time remembering stuff. I mean, I can think, like, in regards to now, think back, but then again, in regards to Duct Tape Dave and that, like, that was a lot that was going on at that time, you know, having been targeted and winding up in Washington State. And then the irony, if people perpetuated that, instead of realizing at that time that, hey, you remember all those things that I was talking about? Like, before I wound up in Washington State, like all those threats that you claimed I was being over dramatic about? And then there you are. Gee, maybe, hypothetically speaking, in that regard, if that was considered an over dramatic thing, you know, explaining how I'm being threatened and all that sort of stuff, maybe in regards to it having actually hypothetically happened, and that's how I wound up in Washington State. Hypothetically, maybe that's not so overdramatic at that point, and that's just reality. Just saying. It's not like I hadn't tried to tell people beforehand. But then I was told I was being overdramatic. I guess at least I can say in regards to Duct Tape Dave, if that was him, at least he said it to my face under the guise of being somebody else in that regard nonetheless. However, at least he said it to my face despite the fact of the reality behind that being what I had said I was being threatened with became reality. Just saying. Have I received any apologies? No, I have not. Not in writing, not in person, nothing. Just saying. That's not even taking into consideration other countries who don't have certain aspects the way the United States of America does as far as technology, and then technology companies going and putting technology in the hands of adults that have no idea in that regard, and what type of setting up for failure is that? Just saying. I cannot be the only person in the United States of America who has had this particular issue, maybe in a full combination sort of way. But as far as not knowing I was being lied to in certain references, or people not taking me seriously. I mean, I literally showed people the threats I had received. Not all of them, but each, like, Philip Olmsted had been shown some of the threats I was receiving. Patrick Kennedy had been shown some of the threats I was receiving. Not the pop-up ones. Not the pop-up window ones. Because those always went away after the end of them. There was no X to click on. It was just a pop-up window, and then it went away on its own. Clicked on the subject line, pop-up window came, and then it went away after whatever threat stuff. But the other ones, yeah, I showed them. And I also showed Alicia. It's Scordia or Erica's friend. So, nonetheless, just saying, I'm so grateful for the NSA. Seriously, like, as many people might be upset about the NSA, like, they of all, despite whoever, like, individual names, they of all would be able to be like, this one is so bad with technology. Like, stuff happens, and don't know why. Don't know how that happens, like, at all. So, yeah. So say hi to NSA, guys. Just saying. So, you guys have a good one. Think about what you